Welcome back to the conversation. I'm New Barato. The conversation talk about different things going on in the community. I'm really excited for our guest here today. We try to promote the good things going on in the city of Brockton and really all the inner cities in general. There's so much, garbage you see on the news and all this other stuff, but we want to just cut through the BS and just really talk about some good positive stuff, because there's more positive things going on in our city, in our area, that need to be highlighted. So, I've been knowing this cat for a long, long time. Kennedy kids, rest in peace, Mr. Rogan. Matt Caruso. Matt, appreciate coming on.
Thank you, Newbie. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to share my story and a little bit about me.
Now, the listeners can't see, but I'm reading your shirt. It says, "We will not shut up and dribble," which I love, and that's definitely, you're speaking up. You're known for, being a student athlete at Brockton High, play football. You do track, and I know you did basketball.
Yes, sir.
So you got, got 3-sport athlete. And then now you're over at Bryant University, and you're doing good things over there. But before anything, just kind of tell people about yourself.
Definitely so. Growing up in Brockton all my life, being the product of two Brockton public school educators. My father and my mother both worked at the Kennedy School, my father being a gym teacher for the majority of his career, then eventually moving up and becoming the athletic director at Brockton High School. My mother still currently teaches 4th and 5th grade in the SEI program at Kennedy. So I've been born in Brockton, raised in Brockton. Brockton is a part of me, something that I take a lot of pride in, especially everywhere I go, always bringing that Brockton toughness, that Brockton pride everywhere I go. Also having a sister who grew up in the same grew up in the same household, went down the same route as me, going to Brockton High School, then eventually moving on to Brown University, being a soccer star over there as well. It's just always been something that's good. A little bit more about me. Again, you already gave me a really good intro about being a 3-sport athlete, something that I take a lot of pride in, and something that really helped me find my way within Brockton High School, being involved in the athletic program and also being involved in different other clubs and organizations. Just try to do my best and help any way that I can, then eventually moving on to Bryant University, where I'm currently a rising senior there. I am majoring in finance and economics there at Bryant University as well. And being on the football team is something that's been it's been a very good opportunity, something that's exposed me to a lot of good people, and also it's exposed me to a lot of different social issues as well, being at a predominantly white institution, being in that small class of black student athletes on our campus. It's been very eye-opening and alarming, especially coming from Brockton where it's so diverse, being at a more predominantly black city with so many different ethnicities and cultures coming together, and also being able to be accepting within Brockton. But as you realize when you kind of step out of that safe environment, it's not as accepting everywhere else, and it's been eye-opening for me. And because of that, I feel like I was compelled to speak up and try to take my great experience of being in Brockton and try to bring that everywhere else.
Right, so I definitely want to talk about that, but you brought up a good topic, and I teach over in the city of Lynn, and I'm a Brocktonian, so back and forth to two inner cities, and I think one of the biggest struggles that people go through is that transition, because Brockton is just the ultimate diversity. Mm-hmm. Haitians, Cape Verdeans, black, white, Irish, Italians, everything. And then when you go to college, I struggled with that my first few months. Mm-hmm. You look around, it's like, man, no one here looks like me. And that's a big culture shock. It's huge. The education part is easy. Mm-hmm. It's everything else. So what advice would you give to an incoming freshman who's going onto a college campus, who just graduated from an inner city like a New Bedford, a Brockton, a Lynn, a Low, and entering a college where they won't see many people that look like themselves? What advice would you give to them?
I would say definitely get involved on campus. I think, speaking at least from my personal experience, and I've heard from everybody else that I've had the luxury of meeting and knowing at different universities, that there are plenty of student organizations that you can find your niche and your things that basically align with your values and your interests. And I feel like there's a place, and that's a really good place to start. I noticed that was something on my campus that was very good. I got involved in the Multicultural Student Union instantly when I got on campus, as well as being a part of the football team, which was two very big groups and two groups of color, which I was exposed to, which made my transition a little bit easier. And then eventually I realized that there needed to be a space created, which I ended up founding and creating my own organization. So again, kids like me coming from inner city areas or just being multicultural student athletes, they can have a place where they can feel safe and feel comfortable to kind of come and share their stories and talk about the different issues that are going on, and eventually we can kind of come together and work on solutions to help these students navigate their time at predominantly white universities.
So let's talk about woke and talk about the organization that's going on over at Bryan that you helped spearhead. Talk about the organization, how it got started, and what is it all about.
So basically, it got started almost about 2 years ago. It was an idea that a few of us student athletes came together. It was myself, another peer of mine on the football team, and another girl who was on the women's lacrosse team. And it all started at an event where we had a life skills event, which basically was kind of highlighting diversity and inclusion. And she actually came up and she had a speech ready where she was talking about the different microaggressions that she's been dealing with all throughout her life being in a predominantly white sport, and specifically at Bryan University. And that was something that I felt really connected with me, specifically having a sister who attended a predominantly white institution as well. And that connection right there was like, you know what? I feel like there's so many different stories out there of so many different people going through all these different struggles, but maybe because she's not on my team, I never really saw it until that day. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to really get that idea and create that space. And I met with her, I met with another really good teammate of mine, and we decided to kind of sit down and come together and start trying to form an organization that we could really have that would be our space, and it'd be a space for multicultural student athletes on our campus to be able to come together and talk about all these different social issues and all these problems that we face that are specific to us on our campus. And then again, just keep trying to work at them, utilize the school and all the resources that the school has, and if the school doesn't have those resources, fight to create them. So a little bit about woke is an acronym which stands for Words of Knowledge Empower, and it's empowering athletes to educate themselves on different social issues, not only on our campus but out in the broader world. Advocate for the resources necessary that we need, because as student athletes there are a lot of time obligations that we have, and because that we miss on a lot of opportunities that our non-athlete peers get to attend, which is unfair. But there's just so many different events like resume building and things like that, career development opportunities that we never really get to have access to. So I knew that was something that I was really passionate about. I knew something that I wanted to do, obviously thinking postgraduate. And I was like, I believe every athlete should have the opportunity as well. And then again, service. So being a student athlete, Division I student athlete, you have a platform that is unique and something that's special and something that we all really worked hard to get to that point. And because of that, there's a lot of people who look up to us, not only just in our hometowns, but other communities as well, like the communities surrounding our school. And when you're basically an athlete, people do look at you and they do look up to you because they admire what you do. And I believe that's really important for us to not only to recognize that platform, but use that platform to help others and help uplift others and get them to our level eventually. So this year we finally got our mentorship program up and running down at Bryan University, which is a program that we're working with a nonprofit called the College Crusade of Rhode Island, which is a nonprofit organization comprised of 6th to 12th grade students who are going to be first generation college students. And we specifically wanted to work and mentor with the athletes so we can create that connection where we can help and assist them any way that we can with basically getting ready to go to college, and basically kind of giving them a little insight onto what it's like being a college athlete. So we brought them up to campus a few times. We usually meet once a month with them, and we bring them up to campus. We take them to a athletic match, whether it's a football game, basketball game, different types of athletic matches. And then we actually have a one-on-one time with our mentor mentee. We do a bunch of group activities, and we also have a theme for the day. So we'll talk about certain things. Sometimes we'll talk about the NCAA clearinghouse. We'll talk about recruiting and things like that. We'll talk about the day in the life of a student athlete and what to expect being Division I student athlete, and just trying to get them ready and get them a true experience to show them if this is something that they really want to get into, and then helping them in any way that we can to get to that.
I think that's huge. I think, a lot of times we're seeing it with the Black Lives Matter movement, and which is really awesome. I think tangible change is happening, which is good. But I'm always, talking to your generation, is that, we can't just talk about it. We can't just be Black Lives Matter on Facebook and on Instagram. We got to be Black Lives Matter in the classroom. Black Lives Matter, in jobs. Black Lives Matter in every aspect of this whole thing for true change to happen. I think that's, and the things that you're doing is huge, because we can't just talk about it.
Definitely.
We got to do it and do it on a consistent basis. That's definitely what I like seeing on on your end. Where do you see this organization going in long before you're going to graduate next year? But obviously you want to continue after you guys. So
definitely,
what are some things that you're seeing in the future?
I definitely see woke as a growth opportunity, and I believe that not every campus has to specifically have a woke chapter, but I believe that every campus needs to have a specific diversity and a specific space for student athletes of color. And I believe that that's something that's lacking at a lot of universities, and I want to be kind of a catalyst to kind of inspire different universities to create programs like this. We've been in the process of talking to a few schools. We were beginning the process of establishing a chapter at a local university, Roger Williams University in Rhode Island, and hopefully this year that's one of our big focuses, is recruiting and pushing to hopefully expand this and keep establishing woke chapters all across our nation at different universities, which is something that's really big, because I realized how important it was for me after I created that space, and the friendships that I created, and also the platform that it gave me to speak out on these different social issues. My campus has had a bad history of having racial bias incidents happen on our campus involving different students of color, but also specifically student athletes of color, specifically on my team with football. I feel like that was a really good time for me to step up, because I realized that the university wasn't doing anything to help them, and they were trying to paint a bad image of those student athletes, but not really holding the white counterparts basically accountable for their actions. And I feel like that was something that just the school has had a long history of, and I wasn't going to stand for it anymore. So I was going to use any way that I can to use my platform to speak up for them and help them in any way that I can. And I think with the creation of my organization, it made it a lot easier. It gave us a real voice on campus to establish those change, to basically establish that platform to speak up, and also to put myself in the room to make those changes. I'm very grateful for it. We've had a lot of success. Obviously, there's still a lot more work to be done.
Absolutely.
And it's still a growing process. And the school has been slowly getting better. And obviously, I have one more year left, and I don't know if it'll be perfect by the time that I leave. But I know that we're making great strides, and I feel like definitely when I'm all said and done at Bryant University, I think I'm leaving my organization, and I'm leaving all that into good hands by the next generation, not only just the students who are there, but also the new academic staff and different faculty that's been hired since then. And I feel like there will be real change that will be coming out of it.
What you're doing right now, obviously, you won't be there forever, but you're creating a foundation. You're becoming an atmosphere changer. There's game changers. I remember my professor told me this. He said there's a game changer, there's an atmosphere changer. There's and a game changer is, use an athlete's an example for sports. A game changer is, let's say, Carmelo Anthony.
Right.
An atmosphere change is LeBron James.
Exactly.
Change the culture of everything. So you set a foundation. So that's the hardest part, to set a foundation. So now people can really build on it, and you're creating legacy, which is huge. And how old are you?
21.
21. You're creating legacy at 21.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's history right there. Before you get off, I just want to ask you a question. Just on the professional level, what do you think is going on, with the NBA players and the NFL players? What do you think the role of the athlete now is going forward? Is this now because of George Floyd, unfortunate incident, and they're talking about defunding police? Is it just a thing now in 2020, or is this the new role of athletes going forward? What are you seeing going forward for the athletes in general?
I think it's definitely a new role that I think it's really imperative that they adopt it. I believe, again, when you put athletes in such a high position of power, especially within our society where there's such a big emphasis on professional athletics, you give them so much power, and they're always on TV, they're always in the limelight. And I think that when it comes to these different issues, they now are the main people that should really be speaking up. I think it obviously shouldn't all just be them, but I think that they're in the perfect space where every single time you turn on the TV, there's always sports on TV. There's always an NFL player, NBA player, or any professional athlete that's on a headline. And I think what they say carries a lot of weight, and people listen to them when they do speak. So I think they have to use their platform. And I think that's something that trickles down even to our level in college as well, where you see a bunch of college athletes kind of uniting and coming together to have a collective voice to kind of stand up and fight for these changes. Because at the end of the day, before they're an athlete, they're a black man, they're a black woman. And that's something that's inherent to them, and that's something that they always will carry for the rest of their lives. So when they take off that jersey, they have to go out into the world, and they have to want to fight for those changes and speak up for those changes, because when they go into society, they're just viewed as regular people for the most part, unless they put their jersey on. Especially when you think about it, when you look at most of these major sports, you can think of a handful of names, but there's plenty of more people who are role players, and other than that, and they aren't maybe as recognized as much, but they still do have a very powerful influence on the people in the communities that they're involved with. And I think that's just something that has to be, I think now it's recognized because of everything that's been happening in the news, but it definitely has to keep and continue to be carried on, and for future generations, and to inspire the youth like myself to speak up as well and recognize their privilege and their power.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think everyone has a role. Everyone doesn't need to run for president. Everyone doesn't need to run for mayor. Everyone just needs to do their little part, whatever that is, and then collectively, people will see, the needle will actually be moved. And listen, I don't think every athlete needs to, be out on the microphone every day. And some people are not comfortable doing that. Yeah. Some people are not educated on that aspect. So, but I do think if everyone just plays their role, it's important, because sports, at the end of the day, that's the only time where people come together. So I think it's a great time. I mean, just look at all the historic things that's happened in sports. A lot of this change has happened during sporting events. Like, look at Jesse Owens, in the Olympics, and obviously Jackie Robinson, and so on and so forth. Media had something to do with that because the games were on TV. The Olympics, the Black Power fist, Muhammad Ali. I mean, now even going to Colin Kaepernick. So I think it's the best platform to say a message. So
definitely.
I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast. You're welcome anytime. Definitely been trying to get you on for the last few months. So finally, Penny, listen, you're big time now. So I know you got a big schedule, but what's your plan now? I know you're doing some internships and things like that. What's your ultimate goal in 10 years from now?
Definitely. So this summer, I'm working at Goldman Sachs. I'm interning within the private wealth management division as a summer analyst. That's a role that was an opportunity that came up to me, and it was a very interesting role. And I can definitely see myself pursuing something within that business field as I progress through these different internships and these new opportunities. I'm learning more and more about it, and that's something that I definitely want to get into. But again, being at my school, doing a lot of social activism and learning more about that, politics is something that's definitely been interesting to me as well. So hopefully after I graduate, I would like to potentially pursue a graduate degree, doing a joint JD MBA program, and trying to get that balance of business and law, to have both of those fields in that degree, and hopefully continue going on with that. And I'm just looking forward to whatever gets thrown at me, but I definitely just I know whatever I want to do in my career is definitely helping people in any way that I can, and making sure that everyone has the opportunities that I was given, and more opportunities as well.
There's zero doubt in my mind that you're going to be successful. You're going to impact others. It's only a matter of time. Actually, you're doing it now. So it's going to become bigger and better. So, Matt, thanks for coming on the podcast. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
You listen to the conversation. We'll be back with more guests throughout the whole summer.